The Galactic Council had labeled Kepler 789c as Terminal Assignment Zone Omega 7. In every known language across the civilized galaxy, this translated to the same thing, a death sentence with extra steps. William Chen's reassignment came through on a Tuesday, delivered by a Vraxian administrator whose chitinous face couldn't hide its smugness. The young human cadet stood at attention in the sterile white office, his academy uniform still crisp, medals from the recent combat simulations gleaming on his chest. He'd scored in the top percentile. He'd saved his entire squadron during the Titan Station crisis simulation, and now, apparently, he was being rewarded with exile. Cadet Chen, the administrator clicked, mandibles working overtime to form human phonetics. Your enthusiasm during training has been noted. The Council feels your talents would be best utilized on frontier survey duty. Translation: they wanted him gone. Too creative, too unpredictable, too human. Kepler 789c was a planet where the survival rate measured in hours, not days. Acidic rain that could melt through standard combat armor. Predators that hunted in packs of 30. Gravity 1.4 times Earth standard. The previous 3 survey teams had lasted 47 minutes, 2 hours, and 19 minutes respectively. Their last transmissions were screams. William requested a 72-hour postponement to arrange his affairs. What he actually did was download every survival video, fishing tutorial, and cooking show he could access from Earth's archives. If he was going to die on an alien hellscape, he'd at least try to enjoy his last meals. The drop pod screamed through Kepler 789c's atmosphere, ablative shielding burning away in cherry-red streaks. William gripped the harness, watching his heads-up display count down altitude in numbers that dropped far too quickly. 3,000 meters, 2,000, 1,000. The impact drove the air from his lungs. Restraints released with pneumatic hisses. William stumbled out onto purple-black soil beneath a sky the color of a healing bruise. Twin suns hung low on the horizon, casting everything in amber and shadow. His survival kit was standard issue: plasma rifle, 3 days of rations, water reclamation unit, emergency beacon, and a basic comm array. The Council expected daily reports until he stopped sending them. William had other plans. The first week was hell, exactly as advertised. He nearly died 4 times, once to the acid rain, once to a pack of 6-legged reptilian hunters, once to toxic spores, and once because he slipped on wet rocks and almost tumbled into a chasm. But humans were persistence hunters, evolved from primates who couldn't outrun predators but could absolutely outlast them. William didn't need to be faster than the planet's dangers. He just needed to be more stubborn. He found a cave system on day 8, carved into cliff faces overlooking a bioluminescent river. The water tested clean, or at least, clean enough that his filtration unit could handle it. William set up base camp, sealing the cave entrance with a plasma-welded metal sheet from his drop pod, leaving a narrow entrance he could defend. On day 10, he sent his first video transmission. The Galactic Council's monitoring station picked up the signal and routed it automatically to the administrator's terminal. The Vraxian expected a final desperate plea, perhaps some valuable survey data before the inevitable. Instead, the screen showed William Chen, sitting on a rock by a glowing purple river, holding a fishing rod he'd constructed from salvaged materials and synthetic line. He wore a t-shirt with the sleeves cut off. His academy uniform jacket hung on a nearby branch. Behind him, 2 suns set in spectacular colors. "Hey everyone, William here, day 10 on Kepler 789c. His voice was cheerful, energetic. "Today we're trying something new, alien fishing. I've noticed these bioluminescent patterns in the water, which suggests aquatic life. I've rigged up this beauty from my emergency kit's cable and some bent metal from the pod." He cast the line, waited, then began explaining the cave system he'd found, the water filtration setup, his theory about the local ecosystem. The administrator stared. This wasn't a distress call, this was entertainment content. The transmission ended with William pulling up something that looked like a cross between a catfish and an eel, glowing faintly blue. Not bad. Let's see if this thing's edible. William's second transmission, 3 days later, was longer. He'd built a small smoking rack and was preparing the fish he'd caught. He explained his preservation techniques, discussed the local flora he'd identified as safe through careful testing, and mentioned almost casually that he'd survived another acid rain by ducking into a secondary cave tunnel. "The trick with the rain here," he said, filleting the fish with a knife he'd sharpened on river stones, "is that it follows a pretty predictable pattern. Every 37 hours, give or take. Once you know the schedule, it's just about planning around it." By the fourth transmission, word had spread through the monitoring station. Junior technicians abandoned their posts to watch the latest episode. William had nicknamed the planet Kepler for short and was giving tour of his expanded cave home. He'd installed a water wheel in the underground river for power. He'd cultivated a small garden of local tubers that didn't immediately kill him. And then there was Maya. The creature appeared in William's seventh transmission, and the collective gasp from the monitoring station was audible. Maya was a predator from the same species that had killed 2 members of the first survey team, a 400-pound apex hunter with obsidian scales, 6 legs, and a jaw that could crush standard armor plating. According to xenobiology reports, they hunted in coordinated packs and showed problem-solving intelligence roughly equivalent to Earth dolphins. Maya was sleeping next to William's campfire, her massive head resting on her front legs, looking almost peaceful. "So this is Maya," William said, scratching behind what might have been her ears. The creature made a sound like rocks tumbling in a barrel, contentment apparently. "She started hanging around about 2 weeks ago. I think she was curious about the cooking smells. Turns out she really likes smoked fish." He tossed a piece of fish. Maya caught it midair with snake-fast reflexes, swallowed, and made the rumbling sound again. "We've got a good system going. She helps me hunt the bigger prey. There's these armored herbivores that are too tough for me alone, and I share the food. I also treated an infection on her front leg with antibiotics from my med kit. Turns out, cross-species antibiotics work pretty well when you dilute them properly." The administrator filed an emergency report. A human was not only surviving on Kepler 789c, he was thriving, and he domesticated one of the apex predators. The Galactic Council's response was immediate. "Continue observation, send no retrieval team, classify all transmissions as ongoing research data." Translation: they were too embarrassed to admit they'd sent a cadet to die, and now he was running a nature channel. William's transmissions became a phenomenon. Across dozens of species and hundreds of worlds, beings tuned in to watch the human on the death planet. He built a hydroelectric generator. He mapped the local predator territories and figured out migration patterns. He created a greenhouse using salvaged materials and introduced Earth seeds he'd smuggled in his personal effects. In Transmission 37, he caught and cooked something he called thunderbirds, flying creatures that moved in electromagnetic storms. He showed viewers how to ground yourself properly, how to predict their flight paths, and how the meat, when prepared correctly, had a flavor somewhere between duck and venison. Maya appeared in almost every transmission now, William's constant companion. She protected him from rival predators, helped him hunt, and seemed to genuinely enjoy his company. William had fitted her with a harness made from woven plant fibers, not for control but for carrying supplies during longer expeditions. "People back home used to ask me what I wanted to do with my life," William said in Transmission 42, grilling skewers of meat over his fire while Maya dozed nearby. "I thought it was the military. Serve the galaxy, see the stars, all that. But honestly, this might be it. Just me, Maya, good food, and a frontier that actually needs exploring. He looked directly into the camera, and for a moment, the young cadet who'd stood at attention in that sterile office was gone. In his place was someone older, harder, but somehow more alive. They sent me here to die, but humans don't die easy. We adapt, we persist, we find a way to not just survive, but to live, he smiled. And sometimes we make friends along the way. The transmission ended with William throwing a stick. Maya, all 400 pounds of apex predator, bounded after it like an oversized puppy, her scales glinting in the double sunset. In the monitoring station, the Vraxian administrator closed the file and marked William's assignment as ongoing indefinitely. There would be no retrieval team. The council had learned a valuable lesson about humanity. You didn't send humans to no-return planets. You created reality shows. And somewhere on Kepler 789c, under alien stars, a human and his beast pet were already planning tomorrow's fishing trip.